Today's video is sponsored by Whitebeard Signworks, who made this awesome sign behind me. Save $15 off your first purchase by using code BS15, link in the description down below. Thank you so much to Whitebeard Signworks, and now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Alright, Broncos country, we are back in the fold making content here on Broncos Syndicate. It has been a few days since we've really had anything of substance to talk about. It's going to continue to be that way for at least the next 7, 8, 9, 10 days. But we're going to be finding some stuff to talk about just through various internet articles and whatnot, because quite frankly, I was bored and I'm really excited to make content again. We are getting closer and closer to training camp. The Broncos rookies report in just 11 days, guys, July 17th. But before camp, there are some storylines that we do need to follow and we do need to address. The first one being some key extensions that are coming up for the Denver Broncos. There are 3 players that are up for extensions that are of note. PFF recently came up with an article that stated their most important extension candidates for all 32 teams. The first 2 players that you would immediately think of as extension candidates for the Denver Broncos are Pat Surtain and Quinn Miners. It's pretty much a given that those guys are going to get extended at some point. It's not a matter of if, it's more a matter of when. But then there's a guy in Garett Bolles who kind of remains in limbo right now. He's on the last year of his contract with the Denver Broncos. He's set to count $20 million against the salary cap. He's certainly an above average left tackle. I know he's a little bit polarizing here in the Mile High City, but we'll break down why you could certainly do a hell of a lot worse than Garett Bolles. And bringing in this article from PFF, they actually are naming Bolles as the Broncos' most important extension candidate this offseason over Pat Surtain and over Quinn Miners. Let's hear their kind of rationale and their thinking here by naming Bolles over those two. Denver has options when it comes to Bolles. On one hand, speculation remains whether Denver should ante up and pay Bolles the money he desires. And they spelled Annie wrong, it should be A-N-T-E. On the other hand, Bolles enters 2024 with a ton of leverage considering his level of play and current competition at the position. All in all, Bolles will most likely demand money north of $15 million a year, which is the going rate for a fringe top 10 tackle in football, which, again, some in Denver don't think he is, but I believe he is, and the numbers in the film back that up. Considering the non-existent presence of players Denver added by Denver's brass to either challenge or eventually take over for Bolles, the 2017 first-rounder looks in line to earn an extension. It's just a matter of when. While cap-stricken currently, Denver is slated to have upwards of $35.8 million in cap to work with next year. And I'm not sure if that's taking into account Bolles and Bolles and Miners extensions, because by that point in time, the Denver Broncos will probably have a little bit more than that. Maybe they're taking into account rookie deals, because projections are that the Denver Broncos are going to have about $100 million. Granted, again, you have to extend Pat Surtain and you have to extend Quinn Miners. With Bolles, it's really interesting because you can go down the avenue of not extending him and letting him walk as a free agent in 2025, but you're leaving yourself kind of vulnerable because the left tackle market in 2025, at least free agent-wise, isn't exactly great when you take into account that a lot of teams are going to re-sign players. Cam Robinson is most likely going to hit the market, but he's kind of a mid-tier player. He doesn't really move the needle as far as a starting caliber left tackle. Bolles is better. I'll just state it like that. Bolles is better than Cam Robinson is. You've got Bolles listed here. Taylor Decker of the Detroit Lions. There's some rumors about him possibly retiring after this season. If he does hit the free agent market, then he would be a top commodity, and Denver would certainly be interested in his services, but I know that the Detroit Lions are going to do whatever they can if Taylor Decker wants to play next year to retain him. He's a key piece on that offensive line. Joe Noteboom, who's been the starting left tackle for the LA Rams last couple of years, he might hit the market, but again, man, even a 34-year-old Garett Bolles, that's the age he's going to be in 2025. You have to take into account age here, but even at 34, I think that he's going to be better than Joe Noteboom. Ronnie Stanley is on the decline in his career. He's dealt with some injuries the past couple of years. Former All-Pro left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. Tyron Smith, he is going to be protecting Aaron Rodgers' blindside this year for the New York Jets, but I don't know if he's going to be playing much more beyond this season, and if he does, it might be for the New York Jets or some other organization like that that maybe is a little bit more immediately championship ready. But Denver is going to be willing to spend money in free agency next year. There's just not a whole lot of tackles out there that move the needle for me. Tristan Wirfs, he's another one where he's probably going to be re-signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to be fools if they let him walk out the building. There just isn't a whole lot of names here on the free agent market. And sure, the Broncos could draft Garett Bolles' replacement, but the odds are that a rookie left tackle is not going to step in and provide high-level play in year one. The Broncos experienced that firsthand in 2017 with Garett Bolles, where he really, really struggled. Bringing in some of Garett Bolles' numbers from last year, he was actually really, really solid in pass blocking. 83.8 pass blocking grade according to Pro Football Focus. His run blocking grade did kind of fall quite significantly, 64.3, which is down pretty far from the 76.9 that he had in the 6 games that he played in 2022, and even a pretty good dip from the 68.9 in the 2021 season where he played, I believe it was like most of the games. He did miss a couple because of COVID, but Bolles, honestly, you can do a lot worse when it comes to left tackle play. And penalties, I know, is a big concern when it comes to Bolles. The first 3 years of his career, he had double-digit penalties, 15 in his rookie year, 14 in his second year, and 17 in his third year. But ever since then, the penalties have dipped down into the single digits. He will occasionally have bad footwork, and he'll have to hold in order to not get his quarterback's head chopped off. Sometimes he'll hold in the run game as well. He can be prone to pre-snap penalties sometimes, but you can live with a single-digit number of penalties. You can live with that. In 2022, granted, he was on pace for probably double-digit penalties. He played in only 6 games that year and had 6 penalties, but last year, he really cleaned that up. Only 8 penalties last year for Bolles, so that's not an overwhelmingly significant issue like some people in Broncos country make it out to be. The question is, do you extend Garett Bolles? He is going to be 34 years old, and there could be better options out there if you're willing to be patient in the draft. My gut says no, but then when you think about just how tough it is to replace a position like left tackle, the Denver Broncos might feel like they want to continue to keep the continuity around Bo Nix going into year 2. That's another factor here is, do they want another starting left tackle for Bo Nix going into his sophomore season, where the hope is that he'll probably take that next step forward in his development. I don't know if that's something that the Denver Broncos want to risk. So for me, I think there's actually a pretty decent argument to extend Garett Bolles, even though my gut is telling me no, they should not do it. It's a tough conversation, and that's why guys like George Paton are paid to make these decisions, because quite frankly, they have to evaluate all of the pros and cons of extending the player versus not extending the player, and then decide if that's the best decision for their football team or not. And quite frankly, I don't know what the correct answer is, and it's hard to determine what the correct answer really is until you go through and evaluate every single angle of this, and it's all about risk versus reward at the end of the day. Do you really want to risk starting an inexperienced left tackle in 2025 in a key year 2 of development for Bo Nix? Do you want to risk a significant drop-off at that position when you at least have somebody who is competent at left tackle and provides decent starting level play? It's tough, man. I'm curious about your thoughts on this Broncos country. Are you a proponent or an opponent of extending Garett Bolles? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are two free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out and helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Thank you so much to Whitebeard Signworks for sponsoring this video. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.